When you think of a marketing funnel, you probably picture a harmless business diagram. But for decades, the funnel has actually operated as a massive trap. It is a strictly controlled environment, designed specifically to make human intent observable to sellers. Sellers have spent years building infrastructure to watch you navigate that maze. They track your search queries, serve up highly emotional landing pages, monitor your hesitations, and steer you into forced checkout flows. They dictate every step of the journey. Now, the biggest economic players on the internet, companies like Stripe, Meta, Microsoft, and Visa, are quietly abandoning that setup. They're building infrastructure to let buyers bypass the storefront entirely. On the left is the traditional marketing maze. On the right, agentic commerce skips the seller's website entirely. As the maze dissolves, sellers lose their power of emotional persuasion. The transaction travels straight from the buyer directly to the product. While a chatbot buying coffee makes for an easy demo, the actual shift is happening in the code beneath the surface. Internet commerce is rewiring itself to favor the consumer, moving economic power away from the seller and into the hands of the buyer. Let's say you tell your AI to buy authentic coffee. To a human, that's a vague emotional request, but to your agent, it translates into a strict set of purchasing parameters: origin, roast level, processing method, and shipping time. A traditional search engine looks at the phrase authentic coffee and treats it as an advertising target, matching you with whatever marketer paid the most for that keyword. An agent treats that exact same phrase as a rigid purchasing brief. To execute that brief, the agent needs hard facts. It requires explicit, structured data from the seller, the exact inventory count, clear return policies, precise delivery windows, and any specific constraints. It doesn't care about the website's color scheme. This flowchart maps out how payment authority operates on the traditional web. Buyers carry their data through the internet, but they have to hand over their payment information inside that large, centralized seller checkout node. The seller holds the authority to finish the transaction. Watch as the directional flow reverses. Now, the buyer nodes generate small, secure tokens that travel alongside the intent. Using tools like shared payment tokens and Links wallets, the agent brings pre-authorized, heavily scoped payment directly to the task. It never has to visit that central checkout node. The transaction completes where the intent begins. The checkout page is no longer a destination you have to visit. It is simply a permission your agent carries in its pocket. Fast, automated commerce introduces a massive risk. If a human clicks around a free software trial, it costs the company almost nothing. If a malicious bot gets access, it can drain a company's compute resources, stealing money out of the till at lightning speed, burning tokens. Traditional fraud prevention was built for the pacing of human shoppers. It expects pauses, clicks, and hesitations. When a transaction happens in milliseconds through an automated agent, those old defensive systems fail. To survive, the system requires network-wide intelligence. Products like Stripe Radar analyze behavior across millions of businesses. They build massive trust networks to instantly verify whether a bot is acting on behalf of a legitimate buyer or if it's just an automated abuse pattern. We also need specialized adapters to make these payments work. Scoped one-time use virtual cards allow agents to safely interact with the legacy web. Meanwhile, programmable stablecoins enable continuous, micro-streaming payments directly between machines. These background payment rails and fraud systems are deeply unglamorous, but without them acting as reliable guarantors, this digital economy would be overwhelmed by bad actors and collapse before it even begins. AI agents do not experience shopping fatigue, status anxiety, or nostalgia. Because software operates on logic rather than emotion, the marketing tactics designed to influence a human shopper at the moment of purchase find themselves without a psychological target. Instead, brand loyalty becomes a literal line of code. If a buyer likes a specific company or hates a certain airline, that preference is logged permanently into the agent's memory ledger as a hard constraint. This creates a strict new operational mandate for any business selling online: agentic legibility. To be legible, sellers must expose their commercial reality as clearly as possible. They must provide clean pricing structures, easily accessible cancellation policies, and raw, accurate product metadata directly through APIs. If a business relies on hidden fees, confusing subscription traps, or vague marketing fluff to drive sales, an automated purchasing agent will simply fail to understand the offering and bypass the vendor entirely. Companies that depend on exhausting their customers into a sale are in deep trouble. But for businesses willing to build clean, machine-readable contracts and compete strictly on value, the market opportunity is massive. The emotional choppiness that defined online shopping is being smoothed out. The internet is rapidly becoming a hyper-rational, hyper-efficient market. Businesses must adapt their infrastructure to serve machines directly or risk disappearing from the commercial landscape altogether.